Senate Republicans today joined in a chorus of calls for the Biden administration to designate the Taliban a terrorist organization, as if they had to do that, which is sad. But the senators are pointing to the horrific treatment of civilians following reports that they beat women taking part in a demonstration against the Taliban's all-male cabinet. Joining us now, Republican colleagues in the House, Florida Congresswoman and Homeland Security Committee member Cammack, and Texas Congressman and member of the House Armed Services Committee, Pat Fallon. I want to, before we get to all this, guys, I want to focus on this Milley thing. Both of you have unique experience in the national security space. We just asked Lee Zeldin the same question. Congressman Fallon, I'll start with you. What do you think of of Chairman Milley's comments? Because the Pentagon seems to be saying these calls are normal. No kidding. The calls aren't the issue. The contents are.
Yeah, well, exactly that. You can't tip off our greatest political and military adversary. That's consorting with the enemy. And if true, as President Trump said, he finds it a little hard to believe in context. But if it is true, it is absolute treason. And not only would I call for his resignation, I'd call for his prosecution.
Congresswoman, I know that you went through all the strategy courses, graduated from the Naval War College. If this kind of coordination is true, I told someone today one of the first books that I read there was Sun Tzu. If we're telling our enemy, hey, we're not going to attack you, that doesn't sound like a smart way to defend the country.
Well, you're absolutely right, Sean. It's 100% the opposite of what we are taught at the United States Naval War College. This is aiding and abetting our enemies. This is treason. You don't have the operational authority as the chairman of the Joint Chiefs. He is absolutely speaking out of turn if, in fact, he said what is being reported. But I think much bigger than that, you look at Milley, you look at Fauci. These two have been in the limelight, really getting poised to write a book. They've become this liberal agenda hack. And when you are getting fundraising emails from the Democrats saying we need to defend Milley and we need to support Fauci, that tells you everything you need to know about these two. I put them in the same camp. They need to be investigated and they need to be held accountable, because if it comes out that this is true, that Milley was giving advance notice and operational intel to the Chinese, that is treason, and he needs to be held accountable.
Congressman, I want to get your take on Biden's speech earlier on this partnership with the UK and Australia for Australia to acquire nuclear submarines. I mean, talk about China here. We talked to Lee Zeldin about this. Do you think that this is significant anyway, or is this just a distraction from what's happening in Afghanistan?
Well, it was another Biden. Lindsay, thanks for having me on again, and Sean as well. It was another Snoozefest from Joe Biden. And I think it was much to do about nothing. Of course, we want to work with our allies. Great Britain is our oldest and strongest ally, and Australia is becoming increasingly more important because of the, the aggression that China has shown in the South China Sea and in that theater. But this is not some big announcement that's earth-shattering by any stretch. It's quite frankly, it's kind of business as usual. But yeah, it seems to be an attempt at, and a very, quite frankly, transparent, naked attempt at distraction.
Congresswoman, Lee Zeldin said that this really is kind of unprecedented in many ways for us to be giving another country nuclear power. Obviously, we've only ever done that for the UK, and that Congress has a lot of questions, should be investigating this more. Are you concerned with the process of this and that Congress should have been more involved?
Oh, absolutely. There's a reason why we have a civilian-led military. That is why the commander-in-chief is a civilian. And when you look at all that has happened, all that has transpired in the 9 months that Biden has been president and commander-in-chief, it has really, truly been a distraction from the ultimate goal, which is this very radical liberal agenda. While we were trying desperately to get Americans out of Afghanistan, Americans, by the way, who are still there. I have people that my team is still working to evacuate out of Afghanistan. Nancy Pelosi and company shoved a $3.5 trillion plan down the American people's throats. Every time that there is another move to advance the liberal agenda, the Biden administration takes one step to the left and says, look over here, we're doing something unprecedented. We need to be talking about this. The news cycle changes, and the really, truly dangerous things that are going on aren't being covered. So absolutely, the 118th Congress, which by the way will be led by Republicans, it will be one for the books, because for the first time in a long time, a lot of people are going to be investigated and they will be held accountable. I don't know about you, but a lot of Americans out there like me are sick and tired of all of these people living by a double standard and not being held accountable. We have got to do some serious investigating, but more than that, we've got to start holding people accountable for the decisions that have tremendous impacts, not just geopolitically around the world for our national security, but for us here at home.
I can't tell you how glad I am to hear that, because if we Republicans get the majority back and we don't do exactly what you're saying, hold these people accountable, do exactly what they did to Republicans, then it's a waste. So it's so exciting to hear you say that, because so many people are disappointed that we're not doing more to do that. And we need to hold them accountable. We need to impeach them. We need to get rid of them, just like they did to us. And I think it's about time that we played on the same field that he did. I want to ask you something, though, Congressman Fallon, because yesterday Senator Risch was asking Secretary of State Blinken, who at the White House keeps shutting off President Biden's mic. Why isn't the White House? And he said, oh, no one's doing that, whatever. Then today the president comes out and he says, good to see you, Boris, which is the Prime Minister of the UK. And he said, and my friend from down under, not remembering Scott Morrison, the Prime Minister of Australia. Do you think there's something going on over at the White House to protect the president?
I think yes, Sean. The short answer is yes. And I think what we'll find, the truth has a way of coming out. It might take a little time, but it will. And we'll find out what a scandal this really is. Because you ask people that have known Joe Biden for years or decades, they all say the same thing. He's a different guy. It's not the same person. And I was highly suspect. I mean, forget all the gaps. But on 9/11, the 20th anniversary of the attacks, the greatest attacks we've had on our homeland, Joe, the president of the United States, doesn't even speak, and he's present. He just records a message. That's awfully odd. Quite frankly, I think the man's brain is dying. I think they're covering for him. And I'd give it less than 10% chance he serves out his term, and then probably he'll either have to resign or the 25th Amendment will have to be invoked.
Congresswoman, we're almost out of time, but do you think that oversight that you're talking to extends to the President of the United States as well?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that is the check and balances that we need in our government. And listen, there is no greater person than myself and my colleagues in the 117th that want to investigate this weekend at Bernie's presidency that's playing out in front of us. You talk to anybody and nobody's home. I'm telling you, even folks on the left are saying that they are very, very scared for what happens when he really starts going downhill. That's why they are keeping the short leash on him. They're making sure he's got his talking points. But like I said, would I rather have weekend at Bernie's than a potential President Harris? You betcha. But either way, they're all going to be held accountable. You got a bunch of honey badgers coming in.
I think Congressman Fallon's going to steal that line, by the way. But I want to thank you both for being here. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Sean.
Happy birthday, Sean. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it.